Where were you on the 9th of May 16, 1992? For Malaysia's #1 badminton fan, Tun Dr Siti Hasmah Muhammad Ali, there's nowhere to be but Stadium Negara. Today, we are truly privileged to have with us Tun Dr Siti Hasmah to talk about life, gender, health, and old age. More than just wife and mother, she's an inspiration to many Malaysians. Tun Dr Siti Hasmah will be interviewed by Mr. CheahTW, founding president of the Third Age Media Association, and Datuk Muslim Ayub, the editor for the Senior magazine.
Good morning, Tun Siti. We thank you for agreeing to this interview today. I hope it's not too late for me to wish you a belated happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah. And myself, I'm CheahTW, and Datuk Muslim is the editor for the magazine called The Senior. Yeah. And so the first question I'd like to pose, I would like to ask Tun Siti if you can share about your family background, your upbringing, and also who is the person who influenced you most? Is it your father or your mother? You know?
Yes, thank you. Actually, I was born in Klang, Kampung Jawa, Klang, at that particular time. And I'm the sixth member of a family of 10, 7 boys and 3 girls. I'm the youngest of the girls, but there are 4 other younger boys after me. And we lived in a very, I guess probably at the time when I was in Klang, I couldn't remember my life there when I was 3 years old. But it's only when my father was transferred to Kuala Lumpur that then I realized what was around me. Staying at Traverse Road, Jalan Traverse, at the block of government quarters. Actually, it was for the railway staff, but my father was given one of the houses, and we stayed there until I was 5 years old, 6 years old, when then he moved to what formerly was the Cheras Road blocks of houses, now called Pill Avenue, there. And I had a very good childhood. Fortunately, I was with my parents. Of course, my mother was the one who took care of all 10 of us. And but my father was the one who is the disciplinary, the head of the family. And one thing, until today, I'm very, very fortunate because my father has a compassion for education.
Very good.
It's mandatory to him that all his children, both, regardless boys or girls, must have equal education. So all 3 of us, 3 girls, went to school together with the others, and he made sure that we are on the right track. And I felt that because I'm the youngest girl, he has a little bit of favoritism, although he didn't show it. He's very conservative. He never expresses his his favorites or whatever, because his feelings towards us, because she's always has got a very strict face. But I know that he has a soft spot for me. At that time, he allowed me, after schooling in the St. Mary's School for MGS, at the Jalan Sulaiman, next to the river, Jalan Sulaiman. There's a river there. The block is still there. And after that, we went to St. Mary's. All my sisters and I went to St. Mary's School until 1941. December 8th December 1941, I was doing my senior Cambridge papers in the hall. And at that particular time, the Japanese bombed Singapore and Penang. And they were already in the beaches of Pantai Berahi, Kelantan, coming into the peninsula. Yes, at that time. So all in all, I've been grateful to my father, but he's the one who really, really supported me. My mother also, to make sure that I have good qualification and encouraged me right to the end.
Very good. So, would I say it's correct to say that you're closer to your father than your mom?
But both. Actually.
Both. I see. Okay.
Both, yes.
Yeah. And being the mother to your children now, and also being the wife to the Prime Minister, the oldest Prime Minister in the world, I mean, how do you manage your time? I mean,
well, if managing the time now, second round or first round?
First round or second round, or maybe call it second round.
First round. First round, we were much younger, Mr. Cheah.
Okay.
My mother was 56, and I was 55. We were very much younger, and my eyes were bright, and I was very active. And at that time, the children were still small. They were still in universities, and they go back. So sometimes we feel very lonely because our residence are getting bigger and bigger because of the rank that mother was in. And that was how we have, biologically, I have 4 children. We have 4 children. 1 girl, Marina, and the 3 boys, Mirzan, Muzani, Mukris. That's really ours.
I see.
But as I said, our house is getting bigger and bigger and lonelier, because all the others have gone to university, leaving us 2 alone. And that's how we adopted 3 other children.
I see.
So it makes us 7.
Yeah. In fact, we just saw the Arabic calligraphy outside, with all the names of your children.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're wondering which are your adopted ones. No, there's one Melinda or something.
Melinda is the first one. She came to us traditionally, that Muslim. You see, because my husband was a general practitioner then in Alusa. So this little girl fell sick.
Okay.
Her parents were staying in Tokai, as the father, Tuan Haji Abdul Rahman, is a very good person. It's a rich farmer, banyak sawah padi. He's a very good man. And then itulah Melinda, his daughter, fell ill, and Mahathir attended to her that time in the clinic. So she got well, and traditionally the parents brought her to our home with a black string. They to tie for mother to tie around her wrist, and to say that macam menangkat berkat because mother had treated her and she became well.
Oh, okay.
So that was when she was 6 months old. So they took her home, but when there are any events like birthdays or whatever, the parents will come and bring her to us, and we celebrate together. But she's taken care of by the parents.
I see, I see.
And then they had a youngest boy. The youngest boy was born, and when this girl was 6 years old, and the Firdaus, the youngest boy, fell ill, and mother went to the parents' house in Tokai to treat this boy. And that was the time when Melinda, we call Melinda, Aisha actually her name, Aisha told Mahathir that she wants to come back home with him. So Mahathir says, okay, fine, come home with me. So there was a time when we took her, she was 6 years old, to stay with us as our own. But she knows her parents, she knows her family members. Every time when I have to change her school, transfer her from Sultan Hasmah to the convent where my own daughter was, so they were there. But every time the school holidays, we sent her back to her parents. But at other times, she was with us, and most times she was with us.
Are the parents still alive today? I mean, the parents of your adopted children? Are they still alive today?
The parents are?
Yeah, I mean,
they agreed.
The biological parents, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, they still.
They were very happy that we took care of the daughter. Normally, Mother wants all the family members to begin with M. So from Aisha, we changed her to Melinda. Melinda has now 2 grown-up daughters. Both of them graduates from Melbourne University. One has done a master's, and then she has got now a granddaughter. My first great-granddaughter, Chichit. Yes. And both of them married, definitely.
Yeah. Tun, you went to Singapore for your university studies.
Yes.
And you chose medicine.
No, I didn't at first.
Oh.
Yeah.
But finally you chose medicine.
Well, it's a second choice, Dato. Actually, I wanted to become a journalist.
Journalist?
Yes. I'm good at writing, I'm good at reading, and I could write articles for our students' paper at that time, Young Malayans. I write a lot. And my English was, at that time, good. Because I read a lot in English, and encouraged by my brother Ismail, the governor of Negara.
So how did you decide on medicine?
And it was during the Japanese occupation, when my mother felt ill. At that time, we suspected it was dysentery during the Japanese occupation. So, and so much so, she was so ill that my father called all of us, all 10 of the children, to be with her and pray for her, because we thought we lost my mother. She was very, very ill. She couldn't leave the bed at all. She was on the bedpan for hours sometimes, because she was just pouring, and then we thought we'd lost her. So that, not a Muslim, I think, triggered me to say that I have to do something. I have to become something. And later on, after the British came back, my parents also noticed that I'm not afraid of blood. And I'm the one who goes to attend to any body who's injured, anyone in the family who's injured. I will go to attend, bandage it, clean it. So maybe I had that intention to go that way. So I was very pleased. Although Dato Muslim that time, I was really not qualified to go academically to go to do medicine, because I never did any physics or chemistry at school. St. Mary's has no laboratories, only the VI has got it. So I was just learning botany. And I went with only one A. And that is in English, not in any other health science, not even mathematics. I went there. So, funnily, we always think about this in my husband. Maybe at that time also the British got an affirmative action, wanting a native to go and study. So I was taken in, just with one A upon Tun Dr. And I failed my first year.
So you had a tough time?
Beginning, yes. Then you realize it wasn't a good experience because I have to catch up. Because my father allowed me, my parents allowed me to go, and my brothers encouraged me to go to Singapore to learn. So I have this at the back of my mind. I must not disappoint them, so I worked very hard. The second year that I did my first year, I was top in chemistry. At that time, I was really focused. There were 4 others. There were 7 Malay boys and 1 Malay girl at that time. And 4 of the Malay boys had to leave because they failed. Together with me, they failed. They had to leave. But I was retained, given a chance, which is so very, very fortunate.
Okay, Tun Siti, just now you mentioned about the Second World War, there were a lot of suffering people, especially people from that generation, who went through that war period. And this suffering brings the people from those days to be more resilient as compared to the young people nowadays, who, sad to say, you give them a challenge, they don't seem to be, up to it. So how do you see this, especially sending a message to young people that, although they have not gone through the war, maybe you share some of your experiences.
Just during the occupation?
Yeah, during the occupation.
Okay. For my husband, he has gone through many historical colonial past. First with the British, of course, and then with the Siamese, Thai, because they were up the north, Kedah, Perlis, and they were together with the southern part of Thailand. They were still under Thai, and then back to British, and then the Japanese came in. And during the Japanese also, they were taken by the Thais, the 4 states. 4 northern states of Malaya were given to Thailand. But when the British came back, they took over. So that was Mahathir's experience. But my experience in Selangor, we never had really wars. Maybe a time when the sultanates were quarreling with each other, Nahang Jabat, Nahang Tuan, so for all those historical things, but not really wars, like the Japanese occupation. It was terrible for us, especially when that time I was just 16, 17, but my younger brothers were all like Hashim, General Hashim. They were 6 years old, 7 years old, and they see all this happening during their lifetime. The Japanese were very harsh, but very cruel when they first came in. They went for the informers, they went for the communists, they were mainly Chinese, and we felt very bad for them. So many of them were executed, and their heads were stuck in poles and put in the streets so that people can see. It was terrible. But for us Malays, we were very cautious. Some of them joined the communists and eventually went off with them to China eventually. But the rest were very careful. And then when the civil government came, there was the instruction in the papers to say that all government servants to please report back to their government offices. So my father was in the court, Sessions Court, we had to go back. They respect my father very much because he was in the legal department. So, and the civil Japanese government officials, they were more settled, they were more understanding. Yes. But even when they first came, remember, of course, food was restricted, rice especially. And then we could only eat rice together with ragi. We put tapioca just to make the volume. Yes. Fish, very difficult to get. Sayu, yes, we can. And we have to plant it. That is to encourage you to have your own garden so that you can get it from your, for their daily food. Otherwise, it's difficult. There's Japanese money, they call it the banana money. You can take a bag full of Japanese money to the market, but you get nothing out of it. It was difficult for some of the people. But later on, even at the time when they came, they were not as strict. Even the military, I still remember Watanabe. He's a military conductor, music conductor. And at the time there was pavilion, the theatre pavilion. That was used for him, for Watanabe to play with his military band, military orchestra, full orchestra, and we were playing Western music. You know, I still remember that we used to enjoy that. Western music still then. But later, then they restrict to only Japanese music and Malay music. They're very harsh at the beginning.
I'd like to ask you, Tun, about your medical career. I'm sure in those days it must have been quite difficult and maybe exciting because not very many Malays are in the medical service. So how do you find it, particularly when the business of the BOMO probably was still quite active and you had to compete with them?
No, I didn't have to compete. They were more powerful than me, Dr. Muslim, that time, yes. Yes, but it was an experience. It's the way how you approach them. I mean, especially you get this traditional more in Kedah than in Selangor, for example. In Selangor, they were not very noticeable. But in the rural areas of Kedah, there are three. Three of them which I have to be careful about. And one is the traditional Bomo, one is the Tok Bidan, and the other one is the Tok Agama ni. Ustaz untuk Tok Agama, religious aspect. These are the three people which I have to be very cautious about. So what I did was to be friendly with them. I don't go. There's no competition actually, but I learn how to approach them. And being, of course, they have, especially the males. They say, now this is a woman, but they understand that I'm a Muslim woman. And that was, I was very, very fortunate upon Dr. Muslim. That I was born a girl, a Muslim lad, and took doctorate as my profession. And I think the need is there in the rural areas. I managed to get over them. I registered all the midwives, traditional midwives. Dia kata memang tok tak mau lagi nak membidan, katanya mata pun tak nampak. They were, they learn by ancestral kan. The grandmother is a bidan, tok bidan, and they know how to do midwifery. But the only thing is they're most unhygienic. You could see the supposed to be a delivery kit to attend to the mother who's delivered. It's just a cigarette tin box or a chocolate tin, where they have dirty scissors there, with tali, and then there's always a kaki cockroach inside, and the tobacco, so dirty. So the next thing I did when I was there was register them, 1,000 of them, give them UNICEF delivery kit, aluminium, with all the scissors, all the things that need to help the midwife to deliver a baby. So every month they have to report to our health center to renew whatever is required. Every time they come, it's still as new. They never use it.
So mortality rate must be quite high then. I mean, in terms of
better, Mr. Chia.
Baby dying and all those.
Yes, and you know, when I was there, I worked in a hospital first at the Muslim here, in General Hospital. And me being sort of expatriate, not knowing the dialect, I found it very difficult. I can't speak dialect at that time. They didn't understand me, I didn't understand them. Until one makcik, we call makji, a staff nurse, very senior, and she said, "Doctor, sungai kecil means." I was wondering, because the patient told me, saya tak boleh pergi ke sungai kecil, tak boleh pergi sungai besar. So I said, bawalah suami tolong kan pergi sungai kecil. And then this makji will laugh and smile at me and say, "Doctor, sungai kecil means that she cannot pass urine. And sungai besar means she can open the bowel." So, I was so ashamed then, but I have to learn. You understand? Then we learned that we managed to get to. Right?
So Tun, I would like to sidetrack a little bit on your marriage to Tun M. I would say that this is one of the most successful and good marriage with so many years. So nowadays, especially, there are cases of people divorcing at even young age and all those after getting married for a few months or even just a few years. How would you, just using yourself as an example, I mean, how would you encourage, how to live together harmoniously until old age? How would you advise the young people or even the elderly to continue lovingly together for many years?
I know, I understand what you're asking me. How? You know the song, "And I Love Him So"?
Okay.
People ask me how.
It's Frank Sinatra. I love you so, right? Yep.
Yeah, and I love him so. People ask me how I live till now. I tell them I don't know. That was what the Agong was singing, to us. You know, when he asked about, we will be having our 63rd wedding anniversary soon. But the main thing is, you should know who you are getting married to for a long time. So for Mother and I, we had that opportunity because we were in the university for 8 years. I was there 8 years. She was there with me for 5 years because he graduated in 1953 and we were together. And then after that, he left after graduation, of course. And that 3 years was actually a good test for us to be isolated from each other, alone. Maybe this is a real test. But if you still love the person, then you would contact the person again, and that happened.
But do you have any disagreement with Tun? I'm sure there's some time. So normally, how do you resolve such a disagreement, and who normally has the final say? If let's say both of you.
There was a fight. There was a fight. Sometimes it was. Sometimes I don't even know, because he doesn't show what is actually what happened.
Okay.
So suddenly he becomes quiet, doesn't want to talk. Until then I had to ask, why are you not talking to me? and said, because you shouted at me.
Oh,
She's very sensitive with that. I didn't even realize. I didn't even realize I was shouting at him one time. So the best thing to do is to find out what is happening. And sometimes it was his fault, but you want to have a peace in the house, so usually we settle it straight away.
Tun, I was going to ask just now about the situation whereby, as you said, women are doing better than the men. The girls at the universities are doing better than the boys. I had this experience of getting the boys to work when I was in the Air Force. I recruited women into the technical branch, into the engineering branch. In fact, I think we were the first to do that. And they had to go through everything, the same training, all the, field craft and technical training, arms training and PT, the whole lot. And they were doing better also. And that became a challenge to the men. Before, they were not doing so well in their studies and whatever. But with the girls around, they seem to feel that, hey, I cannot allow this. So they had to work and they had to study, and the standard came up. Shouldn't this be the way that universities nowadays try to encourage the boys to to do better than the girls?
This happens all over the world, I guess, where the women you will find them more in the universities than the men. But we cannot stop them because the women are very, very much focused, more focused onto the academic studies, and they are very determined to become what they want to do. So the only thing is the males have to catch up. It should be a challenge like what you had experienced in the Air Force Guard. It should be an encouragement to the men also to be together with them. Unfortunately, the men in the universities or elsewhere does not want to compete. They just let go. So of course the women take the place and enjoy themselves. But of course we need more parity. There's no disparity between men and women. They should have to be together. Because it will cause a problem later on.
Yeah. Okay, following from that, women also have a longer life expectancy than men. And they also, if they get married, they are younger than the men. So the men die earlier than the women. So when they are up gone into the third age, we are going to have more women more old women than old men. That again would be another problem. So this is a real sociological thing that the ministries or government will have to really handle.
Yeah, this is a real situation now. Yes, women last longer. They live longer than the men, and then they're much healthier also than the men. Although they work hard, except for when they when diseases such as cancer attacks them, then they will be much slower and then passed away. But otherwise, when they're healthy, they really, really work very hard. And the men should compete. They should not just let go and be selective of their work and choose easy and jobs, but wanting high salaries and so forth. No, the women work very hard. Yes.
In this regard, Tun, no, the fertility rate in Malaysia is about 1.7. No, that means it's saying that I mean, on average, a woman giving birth is actually getting smaller and smaller. You know, the number of families. So this will, of course, affect productivity of the country.
Yes.
But at the same time, it means that also it shows that the number of elderly people are growing very fast. Just recently, I think the statistics department has already shown that those above 65 is already 7 to 8%, while those above 60 is 10 to 11% already. You know, so this is a bit worrying. You know, looking at the statistics, that one day we'll be just like any other developed countries, where the elderly population could be even bigger than the young people.
Yes.
So, and Malaysians don't seem to be well prepared for such a situation, compared to other countries like Singapore, Korea, Japan, and even Thailand, for that matter. So I think the government needs to do something urgently, and we actually suggested to the Prime Minister earlier that why not have a separate agency or even, if possible, a ministry, to look after the seniors, if possible. Because the needs of the seniors actually cuts across many ministries, housing, transport, health, education, so many, And now with the cost of living skyrocketing, we really need to address senior issues urgently.
It's true.
Do you agree that we need to have some ministry or committee or what reporting directly to Prime Minister so that things can move forward, and not dilly-dally?
That's true. There is a need now, because as you say from your statistics, and but we have to encourage first the young people, the children of these aged parents, to realize that either they take care of their parents, the aged parents, or they have to pay for the cost of the aged parents in another home.
Correct.
And government will have to look into it. I would agree that if they have a special unit just to be in charge of the aged, the geriatrics, but someone, that's another problem. Would you want to have a non-Nigerian minister? No, that will not be good.
Yeah.
It should be between 50 or 60 or 70, a person who understands the lifestyle and the needs of old people.
Yep.
So you can't have two young ministers to look after them.
Yeah, they don't understand the
want
problem.
to.
Correct.
Yes. They have a lot to be healthy about. Some of them, after retiring at age 60, they are still fit, and they're active, and they have the qualification.
Right.
Why have they to retire? By rule, they have to retire, but they mustn't retire completely.
Correct.
They have to be active in some ways.
Yeah, that's why our association, the Third Age Media Association, although we are into publication, we also do conferences and all those.
Yes.
We are trying to encourage and promote healthy and active living, because we understand that if seniors do not work and not do anything, they just wake up in the morning and switch on the TV, slowly you'll find that they will suffer a lot of health problems. So if they are active and healthy, they will save on medical bills. Likewise, the government will also save a lot, instead of these people. So the word third age means retired people who are still active and healthy. So we hope the government can help us to grow these numbers in the third ager. Don't let them lapse into the fourth age where they become dependent.
Yeah, but they're still active.
Yes.
They can look after themselves.
Yeah, the government will save a lot of money. You know,
I
so
think
that's
there
right.
is a move, Mr. Chair, because I was told that this group has built homes near Gleneagles Hospital
Okay.
for the aged.
Raise Ryan.
Or there's one bedroom house, and others can two bedroom.
Yep.
All the facilities
Yes.
for the aged couple to stay in, and they'll be on their own,
Yep.
except for one maid or helper to come to see them. That's a
Very
first
good
move.
concept.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I
Just-
think you're referring to Race Soraya, which is built
I
by
think
UEM.
so.
Yeah.
UEM, I
Yeah,
think.
UEM is building it.
Yes, UEM.
In collaboration with PHB.
Yes.
Pelaburan Harta Tanah Berhad.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are
So
subsidiary
this is
of
the
PNB.
first move.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the first thing is to attend to the Malay aged couple. They're the ones who will be very stubborn. Kan? That they don't want to be in a home. And yet at the same time they want to be in the home where the facilities are not there.
Correct, correct.
We have to think about it. I really agree that we have a small department just to attend to the geriatrics.
Because just like the council of eminent person, you can see even at that age, many are still contributing not only to the community, but also to nation building.
Yes, yeah.
You know, it shows that so much potential there which is untapped. You know, as what you have rightly said just now, you know, many have professionals before. You know, they have lots of experience. Why don't they make use of this experience to help? You know, especially even to guide the younger people. You know, the
But
younger people.
also, Mr. Chair, you have to talk to the retirees that sometimes, you know, they say, oh no, I'm going to retire, I'm going to go gardening, I want to go to the mosque and I want to do things that I want to do. But that's not all.
Yeah.
It's just for themselves. They will not be fit if they just do that. Even gardening outside.
Yeah.
Out in the open, which is good, but it should be more than that.
Correct.
The brain must be ticking
Yes,
all the
correct.
time.
That's what Tun M say. You know, you must always exercise the brain like exercising your muscle.
Yes, yes.
You know,
yes.
it's very important. No?
Yes.
You cannot
And
just.
especially when they grow up, they have aches and pains, and once they get knee pain, they get into a wheelchair. And when they're comfortable in a wheelchair, they don't want to get out. That's bad.
That's why your husband is the perfect example. You know, at age 94 and still working, working more than normal time.
Because there is a focus. He's got an objective.
Yeah, he has a mission to achieve.
Yes, he has got a mission.
That's
to
why
achieve.
when people ask me, I say, Tun M, because God has given him extension of time, because the mission has to be accomplished.
Yes. You better help him.
Tun, last question for me. Again, about medicine. Polio, for example.
Yes.
In the early years, we had lots of problems with polio, and a lot of people suffered from polio.
Yes.
But thanks to efforts by Rotary in particular, plus the Gates Foundation, polio now is almost eradicated.
Yes.
We had a 99% success.
Yes.
Only 3 countries still having polio, and that is the countries are Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Nigeria.
Nigeria.
The problem is that we found is that some of the elders in the village would not allow the caregivers to go in to apply the medical care, polio vaccine and all that,
Yeah.
because they said, oh, this is not halal, this is, and you are a Zionist organization, and it will affect the fertility rate of the girls and that kind of thing. So it looks like we are going against a brick wall in our effort to really eradicate polio completely. Do you have any idea how we could still be a success totally?
Here in Malaysia?
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing this up, Dato', because I'm one of the fighters regarding children's diseases. Before, our infant mortality rate is very high, 75 per 1,000 live births. 75 of our infants will die when 1,000 of them delivered alive. But and we found out the reason why, because these are one of the diseases of children: polio, tuberculosis, meningitis, diphtheria, and then the tetanus, and then whooping cough. These are the 5, and then measles, and measles also. So I'm glad you brought this up, Dr. Muslim, because in our country itself, there are campaigns against vaccine, and I'm a fighter against that. I go out for them to tell them that what they are advocating among the mothers, especially in rural areas, is not to take the vaccine at all because it's haram, as you found in Nigeria, and also it is not necessary. The child will be healthy if they have their own immunity. But no. We are the 4th country in Asia, or if not in the world, to be successful in bringing down our maternal mortality rate and our infant mortality rate from 75 per 1,000 to 7 per 1,000. Isn't that great? And it's because our aggressive immunization program in the rural areas. Of course, we have to talk, and I'm very fortunate that I was there at that particular time to talk. Sometimes you know that you have to do something, but you have to approach the people correctly to explain to them why. I was the one doctor for Dr. Muslim when I went to Al-Usta to see the last anti-polio lung box. I call it iron lung. They call it the iron lung. The last one was in Al-Usta. It's just like Karanda. It's just like a funeral box with holes on either side for the nurses to put their hands in and to nurse the patient inside. And there's, of course, at the end, a hole for the head of the polio patient. He was fed. And then inside there will be this respiratory to help him breathe in and out. And if that stops, he'll be gone. That was the last one. Eventually that boy died. That was the last of the iron lung that we saw in Al-Usta. So I keep on telling to them, it looks like a Karanda. You want your child to be there? By the time the child has weak legs, he's already there. You cannot, after that, give him an anti-polio vaccine. Tak boleh. And I tell them, look, you parents nowadays are here, healthy, married, and have children of your own. While you must remember that when you were small, your parents gave you the vaccine. That's why you are alive and having children of your own. Why are you being so selfish not to give your children this opportunity to live like you? That was my fight. So I'm very, very stressed. I felt, bringing up Malaysia to the 4th rank in the world. Success story. Japan was first, 2nd was Great Britain, 3rd was America, and 4th is Malaysia. They took me, they invited me to World Bank to tell me of my success story. I was so proud. But now this anti-vaccine, I really feel very sad. I said, no, don't be selfish. Give your children to polio was there, Dr. Muslim, remember? When the children had started to have their vaccination, their drops, their polio drops. I don't know whether remember. Yeah. But now even babies are fully educated by these mothers. They spit it up. So what we did is to put it as a vaccine in other injection. So we give them by injection. Now when I see a person, whether it's a woman or a man carrying a child, I go straight. I go straight to the person and say, "Is this your first child?" I said, "Yes." Good, congratulations. Did you breastfeed the baby? I said, "Yes." Of course, I breastfeed. Good. How many months old now? 9 months. So there's a time when they should start with it. Are you starting your vaccination? Yes. Good. They fulfill it. I'm so happy. But this anti-campaign group, Dr. Muslim, it started in Kedah. I don't know why Kedah. And that's where I went. I spent all my lifetime teaching them. They had me to tell them about this, and they followed me when before. Even for family planning, Mr. Chia was so difficult, but they got through. And now they're all against me. I think I better go back to Alosta and teach the rural people and not this professional. They Google first before they come to see you. Okay?
People like that, I think they are being misled by religious people, with the wrong teachings, So it's very sad. I mean, it's something not easy to overcome because the people, especially in the rural areas, their mentality is still very old-fashioned and somehow misled by people.
Very tribal also.
Very tribal. Yes, betul, Dr. Muslim. When we, it's so unfortunate for me, Allah made me that way, when the malaria eradication program started in Malaysia. From Perlis, we go, like a block, we go down, spraying houses with DDT, and then lecturing to people, educating to be clean, smooth. And then when it came to Kedah, I was there. I was there with the Korean doctors. I was one of the pioneers. And Allah, to think that it's just easy to go and spray, no. Halal, haram. Haram ni, so DDT ni dalam Muslim ni umat tak boleh. I said, look, this is to save your life. And then who did I go to ask for help? Apa ni, Datuk Muslim? Apa ni, past punya former president, first president. Fadilno.
Fadilno, yeah.
Fadilno. He was not the past president then. He stayed in Anak Bukit near us. I went to him. I said, Fadil, tolonglah. Saya kata bawa. Kata, we meet the Jabatan Agama Chief with the recipe of the DDT and to convince them that there's no haram in the DDT. Of course, it is inconvenient. There's a water base, and you see the drops of the spray in the household. They have to gather the furniture in the center, and so that they can spray. So I went and then the head of the department said, no, there's no objection. I said, please bring out the fatwa and put it in the say it in the Friday press to please make it clear. And then only they started to say. I went through all this, and that's why we managed to successfully bring down the rate of 0. Now they're going to celebrate at the Muslim. Malaysia is now one of the countries 0 malaria. They're going to celebrate.
Polio and all this is still happening. I mean, the mentality of those days is still happening today.
Yeah, but one thing, you must remember, we have foreign workers, we have foreigners coming in, migrants from other countries who've never had the vaccination. The one in Johor, diphtheria, 3 died. That was terrible. That shook us all up. But we have to be aggressive. That's why, Dr. Muslim, I was very, very disappointed because, Mr. Chia, our girls, they take up medicine, but they want to stay in the cities to work. What about the rural people? None of them want to work in the rural people, especially when they get married. Oh, ikut husband kat city. Then what about the rural people? That's why I went. Many people have said Hasmah will not last in Kedah, living as a husband, as a wife of Mahathir. He said, I will not last in Kedah because I'm a city born. I'm born in the cities. I went, it's a challenge. I'm saying I was a pioneer then. That's my duty. They are the ones who helped me be what I am today in literature.
Because it's the people who are, the leaders are dividing the people. Giving them all the wrong perception of things. So
that makes
very
me
sad.
very, very
we are
sad.
supposed to be coming to a developed country, but we don't have that mentality or mindset. No?
They are coming through, seeing.
Yeah.
pushing.
Hopefully, slowly.
I'm a fighter.
Yeah.
Where health is concerned, I fight for the women and children and for help their country that are Muslim. I can't help it. I'm open.
Tun, so as the final question, maybe would you like to share something with the seniors about how they can prepare themselves after retirement? Especially now that in October we are celebrating, the United Nations will be celebrating the month of the elderly, to celebrate life. What advice would you give to senior citizens in Malaysia?
Well, the first thing is to keep being active, in whatever way they like. Either distress themselves if they have anything that stress them up. By my style is to go for music. I believe that music is a therapy, and I'm sure every one of us have got this intention of singing or playing a musical instrument. That is one thing. And the other thing is to read and write, When the eyes are still clear, that's the best thing to do. Yeah, keep the mind active. Walk, do exercise, and then look after your diet. You can eat as much as you like, but at our age, we have to be careful about sugar. You don't have to have sugar all the time, and also good food. It's not the ingredients of the food, it's the amounts you take. Let it be small amount but frequent. Good rest, good food, and let your mind be active by reading, writing, and playing what you like, what you like to do.
What about traveling?
Traveling, of course, you make it to people. Oh, this is one thing that people my age, especially from 70 onwards, must have company. Otherwise, you find that you're lonely and you'll be thinking of yourself and your illness, your aches and pains. That's bad. Just to say, you're right. Travel.
Yeah. So, Tun, we thank you for your time. Just for your information, we are organizing the Third Age Media Association is organizing a conference called Life 2 Years, Longevity, Health and Wellness 2019. This is in conjunction with the United Nations month of to celebrate the elderly. This is in October. So we hope you make time to come if possible.
Inshallah.
And so we again thank you for your time for today.
Yes, thank you very much,
Yep.
Mr. Cheah, Dr. Muslim.
Yes.
Yes, inshallah, my husband and I, if we are free,
Yes.
we are in the country, inshallah, we'll be there.
Yes.